Welcome to the Padded Pedal Room with your host, Mr. DiMarzio.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Padded Pedal Room. Today we're going to take a look at the Headrush MX5 and how to use it with Midi. So now let's give it a try here. We got our Headrush MX5 and we got our Morningstar MC6 controller. The first thing that we will need are cables. The cables that come with the Headrush MX5 are these cables here. They're a 1/16 inch to a Midi connector. You get two of them, and your 1/16 inch connectors are here. So the Midi in and Midi out, the connectors are there. So if you are only using your controller to control your MX5 and nothing else, all you need to connect is your input. Now, if you want to send a message out from your MX5 to your controller, then you want to connect your output, because your output will send your out signal from your MX5 to your input of your controller. So whatever you want this to do to this, it will do. You're going to need a connector to be able to connect to your controller. So as you see here, I've got this cable here, which basically connects to the cable that was provided from Headrush. You just plug it in and get the other side of the cable. See, same thing here, to put into your controller. So right now the MC6 is connected to our MX5. So this could send a message to this, and this can send a message back to this, so they can control each other. First off, you have to set your Headrush into Midi mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Global Settings. We're going to go to page 2. In page 2, we have our Midi settings. In this case, you see the Midi through. I have it set to off. And the reason being is because we're not passing information through it to another pedal. We're receiving and we're sending a message. We're receiving messages from the Morningstar controller, and we're sending messages to the Morningstar controller. So there's nothing going through. So that's why I have it in off mode. Now, receive Midi clock, I have it off right now. We're going to do that in future tests. Your program change here has send and receive. And send and receive are off by default. In the case of what we're trying to accomplish, the send and receive must be on, because we're sending a signal from the MX5 to the Morningstar, and we're receiving a signal from the Morningstar to send to the MX5. So put them on. Midi channel Omni. You got 1, 2 Omni. Omni, by default, put it to Omni. What we're going to do is we're going to set the Midi channels in each rig independently. So the auto assign, I turned it off because we want to assign it ourselves independently for each rig. And the rest of it is as it was. There's nothing else to do here. So now that the MX5 is set to communicate with the Morningstar, we got to create ourselves a rig to work with, and then program our Morningstar to communicate with it. We're going to start a new rig. So what we're going to do is we're going to do new rig. Now drive, green JRC. Just put a default. Just pick by default an amp. Let's go with a Black Lux Vibe. We'll keep the cab for now. Let's add a reverb here. Put a medium plate, and then for here, let's just put a second reverb, small room reverb, so that we can have variation between one or the other. All right, so we've got two reverbs, we've got an overdrive, we've got the amp. Let's put in a delay. Just put, for example, put a slapback. Let's put an effects loop, because we have KingKlon here in the effects loop right now. Put the effects loop here at the beginning. Effects loop, default. Okay, so the effects loop's working. Put a rotary, home drum, and let's put a chorus. Detune, subtle. So we have all these effects that we can control, basically. And as we see, none of them are assigned. So if we do hardware assign. For example, we can assign to one of these pedals like a delay. Fine. So our delay is controlled with this. We're going to go to hardware assign, and we're just going to add to our A, which is the Headrush. We're going to put our BBD delay, and we're going to control the delay. So depending where our foot pedal is, depends how much delay we have. So let's just turn it on. What we could also do, since I have a second expression pedal attached, is we can do a B, where we can add also the delay, but control the feedback. So what this will do is the following. We can control the amount of repeats. So now how do we get all these other buttons programmed into our MC6? Alright, so just plug in USB. Alright, so let me share my screen. Alright, so under Morningstar FX, we are going to go to, try the editor. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to close this. Okay, so now we're in the editor. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the device to connect. In this case, it is our MC6. So now we are connected. Now we're in bank 2. You see, we're in bank 2 over here. When I was in bank 1, see, there was bank 1. This is what I had programmed for the other rig, which we'll take a look at afterwards. But if you look at it, all my presets are there. There's on page 1, you got A, you got D tune, B flanger, C. So everything that's programmed here, you could see it on the screen over there. Now there's G, H, I, J, K, L. All these are empty. So basically this is the first page, so you can have multiple pages within the same bank. But to make it simpler, we're just going to go to bank 2. Bank 2. So all bank 2 you see is empty. Go under D. So now under D, which is empty, we're going to go and we're going to type FX loop. And we're going to do the same thing 3 times over. We're going to do FX loop for the names. It's just where the names show multiple times. So basically when you see it on the pedal, it'll say FX loop. When you click on it, it'll say FX loop. And so that's why it asks you to put it 3 times. So now in this case here, basically, we're going to go and we want to give it, as it said before, you can have 16 different messages that can be sent from one particular pedal. And here are your 16 messages. In this case, we only want to send 1 message. And all we want to do is we'll take the first message. We're going to click and we're going to say, well, it's just going to be a press. When we press on it, we want it to do what we want it to do. So a press, and then basically the message that we want to send is a control change message. So if you look at the, you can look at the manual for the Headrush on page 28, or everything is already set in this program. Morningstar has done it for us. We don't need anything to worry about. So basically, we know it's a control change message. So let's put control change. Now, if you look here, open Midi dictionary. If you click on the Midi dictionary, you can select your device. So here we go, Headrush. And then we select our MX5. So what they have pre-programmed is the MX5 and the looper board. If you want to use it on your pedal board or on your gig board, you're going to have to manually program each control basically. So, but for the MX5, it's already there. The selected parameter we want, okay, these are all the things you can program. Your foot switch 1, 2, and 3 to emulate these. You can put your tap tempo in there. You can control your looper completely if you wanted to. And you can control your blocks, which in this case, we said that we want to control the effects loop with the D button, which is in block 1. So we're going to put block 1 toggle on or off. So what it does is it gives a value. Okay, the CC code for block 1 is number 75. 127 is on and null 0 is off. So we're just going to hit apply. That's all. We didn't have to look anything up. We just had to go in there, put Headrush MX5, block 1. That's it. So now, we're going to save the preset so far. And by doing this, look, here on the D, effects loop, it shows. Now, if I just hold it, you will see effects loop. So it worked. So now, when we plug this back into our Headrush, it will control the effects loop. So let's program these other 5 buttons. We said the block 2, which is the green JRC, we're going to put it here. So we're going to go to E, and we're going to put our green overdrive. So we'll just put GRNOD, GRNOD, GRNOD. Okay, so basically we want to do, again, press. We want to do a control change, a CC code. We're going to go to our Midi dictionary again. We're going to select Headrush. We're going to select MX5. We're going to select block 2 in this case. So now block 2. We're going to hit apply. So basically now, well, if we save the preset again, save, going to update it. Now we have our effects loop. We have our green OD. So when we press this, our green OD, when we press this, effects loop. For our button F, we're going to put the D2 in, which is in block 1, 2, 3, 4. So in block 4. So same thing. Now we're going to go to F. Okay. All right. So now everything here is programmed to communicate with the Headrush. All right. We're going to plug it back in. So our bank 1 is what I had programmed earlier. And bank 2 is what we just programmed now. If we put this, let's just say on bank 3, which is empty. This is just another rig that's created. So, for example, this is on empty. This is this. Let's bring it to our test rig 1. Now I put it on test rig 1. Now look what happened. It automatically called the controls for test rig 1 that I had created. Because now if you look at this, this is very functional. You got everything on here that's controllable from here. If I put this in stop mode, you'll see we got 1 delay, 2 delays, we got dynamic comp, we got down here, we got our reverb 1 and 2. So look, reverb 1 and 2. We got our detune, our flanger. So our detune, our flanger, and last, rotary. So the rotary. So how do I get them to communicate? How do I get the MX5 to send a signal to the MC6 so that when I call up this rig, it automatically pulls the buttons, the controls that I want for it? Well, this is how. Let's go back to our MC Test 2. To have it call these names presets, when I open this, what we need to do is we go to our ... we go to hardware assign. Now here you have MIDI program. So in the first rig I have MIDI program 1. In this rig we will call this, just turn the knob here, MIDI program 2. Now when I hit the save button, it will save exactly what's visible. So this here will save when I hit the save button. So now I hit save. I'm going to hit the save. Save. So now it's saved. So now, okay, let's go to, we're going to go to the next rig, which is just a preset. Now we're going to take this off of here. We go to bank 3, which is empty. So now, if we go back to our test rig 2, it automatically called it back. And if we go to our test rig 1, it called the test rig 1 back. So basically, the Morningstar sends a signal to the Headrush saying, turn this pedal off, turn this pedal off, turn this pedal off, you know, which is programmed for that. And basically, when we switch the rigs here, from the test rig 1 to the test rig 2, the MX5 is communicating to the MC6 which menu it wants it to call up when we're in that rig. So right now, anytime we pick our rig here, depending how you program it, if you program 6 buttons on your MC6 and 3 buttons here, you have 9 push buttons to control independently at any moment you want. And as we've said, there's 11 blocks here to control, but typically you're not turning on and off your amp or your cab. And you still have the functionality of your expression pedal, as well as a secondary expression pedal that can be plugged into your MX5, so you can control 2 at the same time, simultaneously. Like I showed you before, you can control the delay, feedback, and delay at the same time. You can also, on your Morningstar controller, connect another 2 expression pedals. But we're not going to go into that right now, as I still have to play with that a little bit more. So, basically, I've learned how to program the Headrush MX5 with a controller. In this case, it's the Morningstar MC6. And so, basically, we've unlocked full potential. Now, some of you may say, well, if you're going through all this trouble and whatever the cost may be, is it worth getting, for example, a Morningstar MC6 and pairing it with an MX5? Why not just get the full-size pedal board, which you can program everything easily? Yes, you can, and it works well, but it's bigger, it's heavier, it costs a little more, because you are saving a little bit of money with this. However, if it's about the footprint. If you want to integrate this into a pedal board, you can, which is what I'm going to be doing. But if you wanted just, for example, on a quick mono board, just your MX5 and this controller, you put those together and you have full control. So to play live rig, it opens all your possibilities up to make it feel like a true pedal board. Like for people that say they have a hard time playing live with these multi-effects boards, if you program it this way, it's just as easy as having a typical pedal board. And for those of you that say, well, the MX5, it's nice, the form factor's nice, it sounds great, but it only has 3 buttons. Well, if you get yourself a small controller like this, you have a button for everything that you want to control. And you can use multi-screens in this controller, and you can make it do multiple things. Same as your buttons on the MX5 itself can do multiple things at the same time. So, with these 2 units, the world is open to you. This is an overview of how to program the Midi in the MX5. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. I don't ask for money. I don't get paid by anybody. I do this for pleasure. So, as scary as I thought Midi was, and it is. I mean, I haven't, you know, this is the first time I touched Midi in 32 years of guitar playing. It is quite powerful. It can unlock the full potential of the MX5. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.